Welcome back to High Hope Sports Cast. We're back after being off of for a week. JJ, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a while.
Hey, Mr. DJ, glad to be back. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Pretty good. It's been busy around here last week, so happy to be back on the show and get this thing going again. And just to kind of note, this will be kind of our last regular episode of season 1. Next week we will do a season 1 wrap-up show where we'll kind of break down our first season of the show and our ups and downs and just our journey through this first season as podcasters and live streamers and everything that went with it. And so that'll be an interesting episode. And then after that, season 2 will start, and it kind of comes at a good time because I think the new NFL league year starts on, what is it, the 14th? So it'll be like a few days after the new league year starts. So it kind of works out pretty good.
Yeah, I can't wait till the new league year kicks off. As you know, DJ, next Monday, legal tampering starts for the free agency period, and the signings will become official. The new league year starts the 13th, and also the free agent signings will become legit on Wednesday next week. So I'm looking forward to that. How about you, buddy?
I'm looking forward to seeing how crazy the free agency is. We've, these this last week in the league has been really interesting, especially the last couple of days. So to get into that, we finally have an answer on the Aaron Rodgers fiasco. He just agreed yesterday to a new 4-year, $200 million contract with $153 million guaranteed. That guy got paid. Holy moly.
Wowza. I was just going to say, in comparison, that's $50 million a year. He's the number 1 paid quarterback and the number 1 paid player in league history. But he let Pat McAfee announce it on his show. And the thing is, Rodgers had to follow up news of a other trade that we're going to talk about here in a bit with his own news that yes, he's staying in Green Bay, but the terms are a team friendly deal, and we're supposedly the 4-year, $200 million deal was not the contract, that they haven't signed a contract, so they don't. He was trying to kind of sketch out on the numbers, but I was just going to list some of the quarterbacks that are behind him now. Your boy Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs, 10 years, $450 million deal, $45 million a year. Like we said before in some of our early shows, he's really taken over that town of Kansas City, isn't he, DJ?
Oh yeah.
And another boy, Dak Prescott's making $40 million a year. Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills is at $43 million a year. Deshaun Watson, $39 million a year, who sounds like he might be in the trade market to go to Carolina.
Oh
And
really?
last but yeah, that's the latest rumor that's floating around. They got Carolina's got their guys down there. Sounds like he's got court coming up in the near 2 weeks to get some resolution. And finally, the fifth highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now is, believe it or not, Russell Wilson, $35 million a year. 4 years, $140 million is his current contract. So, what do you think about those stats, DJ?
That's a lot of money there.
Yeah, I thought I believed back in the when Pat Mahomes got signed for Kansas City that it was supposed to be 50 million, but they must have given him some big signing bonuses or something, because what I saw on is 10 years for 450 million, so that's 45 million. But I never thought they would have surpassed that. But Green Bay said, "Hold my beer," and made Aaron Rodgers really rich. He's already made $164 million, so this would get him up to over 364 million grand total, not including his incentives or including his marketing that he does with State Farm and other companies.
The Rodgers rate.
Yeah, the championship belt.
All right. And then kind of going to some contract extensions. I only have two of them listed down, and there's only two I've really heard of the last couple of days. Probably the most exciting one so far is the Chargers. They signed wide receiver Mike Williams to a 3-year, $60 million contract extension. That's a lot of money there too. And I don't think, if I remember correctly, I don't think Mike Williams played the whole season. Didn't he get hurt?
He was injured for 1 or 2 weeks total. So
yeah, so that guy got paid to go along with Keenan Allen again there for Justin Herbert and the Chargers. And then the only other one that I saw was the Tennessee Titans signed the linebacker Harold Landry to a 5-year, $87.5 million extension. That I don't know what the market price is for linebackers, but I thought that number was pretty high for a linebacker, I think.
yeah, for an outside linebacker, 5 years, 87.5 million. That's close to 17, 18 million a year.
Yeah.
So, wow, congrats to Landry. There was talk that they were going to try and franchise tag Harold Landry, but boy, it's going to be fun seeing these contracts come in the next several days over the tampering period into next Wednesday when they can become official.
Yeah, this offseason I think it's already starting off with a boom. I think it's just going to get more interesting, and we're going to see a lot of different faces on different teams as we've already seen so far. So We this next thing we know the outcome of this already, but um, a few days ago I saw the Commanders called up Seattle, offered multiple first round picks for Russell Wilson, but Seattle declined the offer. Um, so and um, you know, I think the Commanders were very desperate because I also saw. I mean, I don't know if it's 100% true, but I saw that they also called the Kansas City Chiefs about Patrick Mahomes' availability. Now, who in the right mind in the NFL, who in the right mind would think that the Chiefs would get rid of Patrick Mahomes? You could give me the whole Commanders freaking team for one guy in Patrick Mahomes, and I still would decline it. Are you dumb? Hello?
Hello, we play to win the game.
Yep.
Well, listen, DJ. The thing is, Russell Wilson had a no trade clause, and Commanders did offer a lot of capital for Russell, but he also there was three big offers on the table, according to this, and it sounded like after Rodgers decided to stay home because Aaron Rodgers had opportunities with Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Denver, and Green Bay. And I think I'm really happy that Rodgers stayed in Green Bay. He's going to be a legacy. He'll probably be the number one Green Bay Packer of all time when he retires at 42, if he doesn't play more years. But he had Philadelphia, the Commanders of Washington, and Denver. So as soon as Rodgers came off the board, supposedly Peyton called up Seattle and got going. What do you think about that trade, DJ?
The Russell Wilson trade?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get into that now. You guys probably know blockbuster trade that happened yesterday. Russell Wilson is heading to Denver. I'll just go through it here quick before I answer that question, JJ. So in this deal, the Broncos receive obviously Russell Wilson and a 4th-round pick, and then the Seahawks get in return Drew Lock, quarterback, tight end Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a 5th-round pick. Now, to answer your question, JJ, I think, in my honesty, I think the Broncos gave up a lot of stuff to get Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson's still good, but he's not the player he once was back when he won the Super Bowl. But I don't know, man. That's your future there. 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, and a 5th-rounder. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Drew Lock makes sense. Obviously, that wasn't their answer at quarterback there in Denver. That's why they're doing this. So, but I just think that Denver gave up a lot to get him.
And I agree with you, DJ. And I just want to give you a little bit of reference. Russell Carrington Wilson. Can you get that? His middle name is Carrington.
Really? I never knew that.
Yeah, and he's got his nicknames throughout college and into the pros: Danger Russ, the Asterisk, Mr. Unlimited, or Robot Russell. He throws right-handed. He's 5'11", 215 pounds. The thing that got me the most is 2 things. He's 104, 53, and 1 in his career at quarterback over 158 games. And he's got already accumulated 292 touchdowns. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler. He's a 2020 Walter Payton Award winner. And he's a 1-time Super Bowl champion. And he was there a 2nd time against them stupid Patriots that we're sick of. And uh, believe it or not, he's going to be able to wear number 3 because the current player on the Denver Broncos, Drew Lock, who was traded to Seattle, so they can basically both wear number 3 again. Isn't that special?
Yeah, just basically swap jerseys, just change the last name.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Agree with you though, DJ. I'd have to say that Seattle got a haul in this trade, even though Russell, the stats I just kind of read you how well he's done. Uh, I think Noah Fant's a future Pro Bowl tight end, and you get 2 firsts and 2 seconds.
Right. So yeah, I have two more things on this trade. Kind of a side note on this trade. I believe the Seahawks have the 9th overall pick now. So apparently, I saw today that Seattle is they're kind of they really like Malik Willis out of Liberty. So I don't know. Maybe they're eyeing to draft Malik Willis with the 9th overall pick, and that maybe they're planning on him being the replacement for Russell Wilson.
That would be a good place to start. Right now I would say that Seattle's in a full rebuild, which we're going to talk about with our Vikings here in a little bit. But the thing is, when they said now that Tyler Lockett's in discussion to be traded, they're going to break the roster.
Really?
Yeah, their top 2-3 players are all on the board to be traded. They just released Bobby Wagner, the full veteran career at Seattle at age 32.
I thought that was kind of dumb too on Seattle's part.
Well, at that point, I don't know. It's not, the league's never been fair to the aging veterans, but so they're going into a full rebuild. They realize they're probably the worst team in the West right now, behind number 1 LA, number 2 Arizona, and number 3. Who's the third team, DJ? Seattle, Arizona, LA, and
San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco. So
yeah, I don't know. Not looking at the Seahawks team now, it's hard to picture this, but under Coach Doug Peterson, I think maybe the Jaguars are going to be better than the Seahawks this year.
Oh, DJ, you did do it, did you? Yeah, poor Pete Carroll. He's not getting any younger up there, and he had the Legion of Boom at one time. I really liked Wilson in the Legion of Boom teams. That was fun to watch.
Yeah. So my other thing on this trade is a question for you. Now that the Broncos have Russell Wilson, they got Javonte Williams in the backfield, they got Cortland Sutton, they got Jerry Jeudy. In your opinion, does Russell Wilson going to the Denver Broncos, does that make them a Super Bowl contender as of right now?
Not necessarily. Take a step back and look at that AFC West division. You always got to put that KC Chiefs, Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes connection at the top. It's going to be a toss-up for the last 3 teams. The LA Chargers with Herbert. Rumors are circulating that Derek Carr could be moved now to the Colts out of the Las Vegas Raiders. And, of course, the Denver Broncos. Hey, there's Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
He's probably pretty happy right now knowing that he's got a franchise quarterback again back in the Mile High City at Invesco Field.
Yeah, sorry, Matt, I didn't see the comments right away, but if you're still listening, um, yeah, I texted Matt last night and asked him about this trade and what he thought about it, and he said that he thought it was a good trade. Broncos fans over there are really excited, so it's looking like it's a really exciting time to be a Broncos fan over there, and they got their boy Russell Wilson, so.
Yeah, I'd still say in the AFC, they're gonna be giving the KC a run for their money now, and their defense. It sounds like Von Miller wants to head back to Denver in free agency, so that would reunite Bradley Chubb and Von Miller as the edge rushers for the Denver Broncos. So it'd be interesting to see how this all plays out. Like I said, it's an exciting time for us NFL fans, and it sounds like our team will be doing a lot of movements. So we'll have to hang on to our hats here in Minnesota.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's definitely interesting. But like I said, um, Von Miller, we talked about this, after the Super Bowl, and about him possibly going back to the Broncos, and I'm like, well, you just won a Super Bowl with the Rams. You'd think that you'd want to stay. You're kind of a favorite to go back. But maybe this, Russell Wilson trade deal. I mean, maybe that kind of is like, okay, we got Russell Wilson. We can contend now, so maybe I will go back to my home team in the Broncos. So maybe that's gonna make Von Miller make up his mind easier than before this trade happened. So I guess we'll see. All right, and then another trade we got here is happened today. The Commanders trade for Carson Wentz, and that trade, the Colts get a third round pick in 2022, a 2023 third round pick that can become a second if Carson Wentz plays 70% of the plays, and a 2022 second round pick. And then the Commanders get Carson Wentz and a 2022 second round pick.
I just hate to say this, DJ. Carson Wentz is on his last leg. The guy built the glass leg, like we'd say. He's built the glass.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're going to be obviously that second round pick for second round picks going to be an exchange because Washington football team or the Commanders now finished better in the playoffs, and the Colts unfortunately lost their last three games. If you remember, they lost to Jacksonville in the last game of the season, and I was reading an article earlier today that owner Jim Irsay was in a real contentious meeting 2 weeks before that final game, saying the number 2 overall pick had a very noticeable lack of leadership, and he was a hard person to understand and get along with. But when they had him on HBO Hard Knocks, they really didn't. I don't know. Maybe he's just a leads by example type of guy more than you think, and I really think Washington got a really good deal at this point, only sending third rounders when they just Colts just traded first round draft picks for him last season. What do you think, DJ?
Yeah, I don't really know what to think about this. I don't know. I honestly don't really know why the Colts are giving up on Carson Wentz after just 1 year. It doesn't. I mean, he's made of glass, like we said. He's so injury prone, but he kind of got away from that. He didn't really get hurt this year. I think you said that he did get COVID this year, but he didn't get injured. So
No.
I just think that they gave up on him too early. I mean, they were so close. They were one win away from going to the playoffs in Carson Wentz's first year there. They just, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do for a quarterback now either. I did see a few hours ago, people just talk, and there's something about, maybe the Colts are going to try and make a run at Kirk Cousins now.
Well, I did hear that in a form of a rumor. I also heard the words or the name Jimmy Garoppolo for the Indianapolis Colts, and they're said that QBs are not going to be quite as important in the new role of offense that they're rolling out with their three-headed running back, obviously with Jonathan Taylor leading the way. They're going to be a 670-30 run-to-pass ratio. I can't believe they're going to try and do that, but that just seems in this day of passing league and the QB is your number one player, they're going to put it on the shoulders right now of Jonathan Taylor and the other two running backs. It'll be interesting to see who they either sign free agency or maybe they go after Kenny Pickett or, I think that their second round, I don't think quarterbacks, there's a handful that might go in the first round, but I watched a lot of the combine this year. Boy, there was some interesting prospects, number one, and the speed that's coming into the league, DJ. There was guys that are 200 and 340 pounds running a 4.740. Could you believe that?
Yeah, I didn't watch any of the combine, but I've heard about, some of the speed. I listened to the Good Morning Football podcast version all the time, and they've been praising that a lot. And Peter Schrager from Good Morning Football was actually at the combine, so he got to see it firsthand, and it's crazy how fast these, even the big guys are now. So
yeah, they had 8 receivers sub 4.4. Justin Jefferson, for example, is timed at a 4.43. So there's 8 rookies next year that are going to be faster. The DBs, the defensive backs. There was a guy from Baylor, defensive back, that ran a 4.23. Now that's faster than Randy Moss. So he's got the second all-time combine 40 time at 4.23. And there was another defensive back that had a 4.25. Just unreal times this year. 8 receivers, sub 4.4, and another 8 defensive backs, sub 4.4. That's 16 guys that are becoming in the league, most likely in the first 2 rounds, with elite, and I mean elite, sprinter speed. It's going to change the game.
That's one thing, though, that they talked about on Good Morning Football, or, well, both them and Paul Allen. There's been really fast guys that have gone into the draft and are complete busts. And the one that sticks out the only one I can remember is John Ross. Remember when he was drafted by the Bengals, and he actually, I think he broke the 40-yard dash time that year in the combine. And now I don't even have a clue of where he is. I don't even know if John Ross is even on a team anymore.
Well, I think he's out of the league, but DJ, his 4.22 40 time is the fastest ever at the combine. But like you just stated, speed does not always equate to success in the league.
No.
Just because you're a sprinter. But there's one example I want to throw out there is DK Metcalf. That guy's got sprinter speed. Do you remember the incident where he ran down the interception?
Yes.
I can't remember. Yeah. So he was just putting his 28 miles an hour or whatever he was going down the sideline. And I think he's such a big guy. It'll equate to decent receiver stats, but yeah, John Ross unfortunately couldn't catch.
Yeah.
So they tried him at special teams, and that didn't work out so well. I do believe he's out of the league.
Yeah, like I said, I don't even know if he's even played in the last couple of years. He just kind of one of those players you just kind of forgot about. I don't know where he is. He just kind of disappeared. So the next thing we have players who have been franchise tagged, and there's a list. So we'll list them off here, starting with the Browns. They use a franchise tag on tight end David Njoku. The Bengals safety Jesse Bates. The Chiefs offensive tackle Orlando Brown. And the Dolphins running back Mike Gesicki. I think that's how you pronounce it. The Cowboys tagged tight end Dalton Schultz. And the Buccaneers tagged wide receiver Chris Godwin. And probably one of the most ones we knew was going to happen was the Packers tagged wide receiver Devontae Adams. That one I kind of knew for a while now that they were going to do that. So those were the only ones that have been tagged. I don't think I missed any. I got it all from my notifications from the NFL app. So any of those stand out to you, JJ?
Well, the only comment I really had, just to let people know, Mike Gesicki is a tight end actually. So Devontae Adams,
Oh,
there's grumblings out of his camp that he might not want to play for the market value. He wanted 30 million a year to be the highest paid receiver in the league.
yeah, I heard that too.
Did you hear anything on that? Did you hear anything on that, DJ?
Yeah, I kind of basically just that. I didn't hear any details on it, but it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens to him next year. Because I don't think you can use a franchise tag on the same player in 2 years in a row, can you? I don't even know how that works.
Well, they did do it up in Washington when they were the Redskins with Kirk Cousins.
Oh
They
yeah,
didn't want to commit to him long term. They just wanted to play with him, and give him the league. It's not the league minimum; it's the average market value of the position. So, and after they didn't want to do that, they couldn't do it a third year in Washington. That's how we landed on Kirk Cousins. And there's a thing out there I'd like our fans and listeners, if they want to hear the real truth. Rick Spielman, our old general manager, was on the Rich Eisen show today, and he shed some light on a few things, being truthful and honest. So
oh
you'll have to
yeah.
check that out, DJ.
Oh, that's interesting. He was on 9 to Noon. I don't know, a few days ago, talking with Paul Allen, and I can't really recall what they kind of talked about, but it was right at the end there, so it wasn't too long. But all right, so moving on. So Atlanta wide receiver Calvin Ridley. Yeah, we kind of all know that he kind of left. I think it was in the early part of the season last year, to deal with some mental health issues. So his time away from Atlanta, he I guess he was betting on NFL games. So the NFL suspended him, and he will be suspended at least through this whole 2022 season. Now, I did hear some info on this topic today. I don't remember who it was. Paul Allen had someone on 9 to noon today that it was kind of an insider. So apparently the NFL is partnered with some kind of gambling company or something that makes it possible to track suspicious activity. So a red flag kind of sometime this last season kind of came up, and they found Calvin Ridley's name, and apparently he used his personal phone, and they narrowed it down. He was in Florida when he did it, and he made parlay bets, and he did bet on Atlanta games. And he said that he only bet $1,500 of his own money, and he does not have a gambling problem. That's what he said. He actually tweeted that, and I saw those too. So that's kind of crazy that there's a way to track that and see if any NFL players are gambling on NFL games. I mean, I can't remember how long ago, what part of the season it was where he placed these bets, but it kind of makes me think, like, why is it getting brought up now? We're what, 3 weeks out of away from the Super Bowl. Why is it getting brought up now? And obviously Atlanta wasn't in the playoffs, so it was even longer than that when he placed these bets. Why now? It doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it was just a shock and awe moment for me. But like we talked about with mental health, the guy is not thinking straight, number one, obviously. And it was in November, DJs. So he was
Okay.
down in Florida. And parlay bets are when you pick the winners, and the minimum parlay is 3-team or higher. So he was picking the winners or the scores of 3 teams, and if you get all 3 right, the bet of whatever he bet on them goes up up pretty high. So I can't believe this. I just you think the guy would be, like my brother and I talked about, he jeopardized $1,500 on bets for a $10 million annual salary with the Atlanta Falcons. So the value there, it don't make. Here we go again, talking about bonehead NFL players.
But this one, I mean, this one isn't as bad as ones we've seen,
Yeah,
in most recent. I mean, no one got hurt here. It's just
no.
it like you said, just it kind of reminds me of Mike Zimmer, but kind of a bonehead move here. Remember, he used to say that all the time, bonehead.
Yeah. That's a fine line, DJ. I'm sure he thought he was in the clear since he had taken time away from the team. But
he's still under contract, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, so I guess, it's kind of a crappy way to do it, but I guess he'll have more time to focus on his mental health and hopefully get the help he needs and get better. And I'm actually really hoping to see him back in the league, and I think he's actually a really good receiver. So hopefully he can get back and get his mind right and just get healthy and get back on the field.
I totally agree. I mean, he learned from one of the best in Julio Jones down in Atlanta, and had Matt Ryan as Matt Ryan's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I don't know where these guys, sometimes it's the money, DJ. They get too much money and they're living these lives of extravagance when they never had it before they got to the league. So it's an adjustment period, I'm sure.
Yeah. So the last thing here before we get to our kind of Viking segment, it's not It's not a player, but it's an announcer, a former player technically. Troy Aikman is leaving Fox to go to Monday Night Football, and reportedly he's going to be making $1 million per game. That's $8 million a year to be a commentator. I think I don't know exactly if there's a full 18 games for Monday nights. They're at the end of the season. I thought we had one or maybe 2 weeks at the end that we didn't have Monday night games, but I mean, 16 to 18 million dollars a year to be a commentator. That's some good money, man.
Yeah, that's padding the account. I know he started a new beer company down in Texas called Eight, the
Yep.
beer company. So he's been doing a lot of appearances and drinking a lot of beer.
Yeah.
So he's gonna get that $18 million. I think the Monday Night Crew actually does a playoff game too. Now that we have 6 playoff games, the opening weekend or the
Oh yeah.
3-day extravaganza. They had a Monday night playoff game this year. Remember that? So
Yeah, that's right. So it'll be probably close to 20 million, you know.
we could all use some of that.
Yeah. Troy, send that some of that to us. All right. Well, since we seem to talk about this just about every single week, I kind of put together, well, not put together, but just kind of made it a segment of the show temporarily until it kind of dies off. But we're gonna enter the Kirk corner.
Oh yeah.
Since we are always talking about Kirk Cousins and his future, and so to start off, I just want to get some thoughts on this. It was before the combine, and I wanted to kind of get a feel for a couple of these quarterbacks that are in the draft. So I spent a few minutes watching highlights of Malik Willis and a few minutes watching highlights of Kenny Pickett. And I think I in my honest opinion, I think that Malik Willis is I can't say the best quarterback in the draft because I haven't seen the rest of them. I think there's Desmond Ritter. I think there's one guy. I can't think of the other ones, but between Malik Willis and Pickett, I think Malik Willis is the better quarterback. He's mobile, and we all stressed about that this whole season.
Yeah.
And Kenny Pickett, it looked like, from what I saw, he kind of stays in the pocket more, and he does this thing with his feet. It's kind of like little quick stamps when he's looking down the field, and he just looks like he's rattled. He's kind of flustered, and I didn't see that from Malik Willis. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on the possibility of the Vikings drafting Malik Willis from Liberty and possibly learning from Kirk at least this first year, and then see what happens next year. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, in a scenario where Kirk would finish his contract and we would take a flyer on Malik, I think it would be great. I know Kirk's a nice enough guy where he'd show him the ropes. I watched Malik's total workout for the combine. He has a power arm. I'm talking Josh Allen type of power arm. He can throw the deep ball. It was on the money. Every single one of them hit the receiver in the hands. Now, the receivers, their caliber, they're not all that great. They couldn't catch his ball, but they hit him right in the hands. But the thing of it, this kid was at, I believe, is either Georgia or he transferred to Liberty, get the playing time and get some video out there for the draft, and his stock went up. I don't know, DJ. Do you think his he would be available at 12?
That that's another thing I've been thinking about today. Seattle's got the 9th overall pick. I don't know where Carolina is, but they're
6.
yeah, 6th. I think one of those two teams might take him actually, but who knows? If we could possibly do a trade, maybe for Kirk and get another first rounder. I do kind of want one of the two top cornerbacks, which is kind of where the Vikings are right now and where they're going to go with this 12th overall in Derek Stingley or Sauce Gardner. I do want one of them guys. But if you could get another first rounder and if Malik Willis is still on the table and you get one of those two cornerbacks and Malik Willis, that's a hell of a first round. That would be sweet. That would be my ideal first round for the Vikings, is to get one of those two corners and Malik Willis in the first round.
I mean, that would be, yeah, if we trade Kirk to Carolina, for example, and we get 6 and 12, and we take Sauce at Gardner at 6 and Stingley even at 12, I'd be happy that way. I do like Malik a lot after what I saw from him. He impressed a lot of scouts that day. What I wanted to say earlier, but I'm going to say now is, don't you think, DJ, that the Vikings should go full rebuild now that Rodgers in his prime, late prime years, is going to be back with Green Bay? Don't you think we should try and turn over the roster?
I don't know. I mean, as a fan, you never really want to say you want a full rebuild, because that's not an overnight thing to overturn. That takes a couple of years, if not a few years, to rebuild a team like that. And I don't know. It's hard for me to say that I want that, but especially with a new GM and new head coach, that's a lot of losing and failing right away in their new tenures with the new team. So I don't know if Kwesi and Kevin will have that mindset. I don't see that happening. But to go back to, getting, a trade for Kirk and then going to get Malik, that kind of goes back to, sitting behind Kirk, a veteran player, for a year. I mean, Kirk won't be there, so who's the quarterback? I don't know how I feel about just throwing Malik in as a starter right away, day one, just because we've seen that so many times where a quarterback gets drafted, they throw him in as a starter right away, and they're a complete bust.
Yeah.
So I would be nervous at doing that. I don't know. like the screen, just question marks everywhere. I don't know what to do.
Well, I know there's hypothetical out there that say we trade Kirk and we draft no quarterback, and we would play Kellen Mond next year for 2022 season. And whatever happens, happens. If we do terrible, we would try and. They used to say, remember when the Colts said suck for luck? Andrew Luck?
Yeah.
Well, the Vikings would do something similar to that to get either the Ohio State quarterback that will be coming out next year. I mean, there's supposed to be a huge amount of talent in the quarterback class next year.
Yeah, isn't I don't remember what the team is. It could be Ohio, but Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, he's out there. He was from Oklahoma.
Yep.
So there's a lot of talented quarterbacks that were juniors or sophomores that might come out as juniors or seniors. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's one thing.
And back to when you said, we could play Mond this year. We haven't really gotten to see what he can actually do. That goes back to Mike Zimmer. He didn't want to play Mond. Like
No.
when Kirk had COVID, he didn't want to play Mond. He put Mannion in there, and he put Mond in there for what, 3 plays, and he's like, "That's it, get out of there." We haven't seen what Mond can do, so we can't say that Mond is a bust or he sucks. He's not a good quarterback. We can't say that. We haven't seen exactly what he can do. So I don't know. Maybe the GM Quasey and Kevin, maybe they'll evaluate him and work him out or whatever in practice or who knows, and then maybe they can make a decision on that. I don't. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in that in the Vikings building, but
Yeah, I know. I totally agree with you, DJ. We never got a chance to really fully see Kellen Mond. We did a little bit in the preseason.
yeah,
It sure would be nice to know. I was going to let you know the thought that came into my mind is we have the quarterback coach is Jeff Johnson, and he's from A&M, and that's where Kellen Mond played. So there's kind of a correlation there. But I don't think they're just going to dump Kellen Mond. They spend a 3rd-round pick on him.
right.
So
And to for Zimmer just to kind of push him away. I mean, Zimmer had to have had some kind of ties with drafting him because he was still the coach. Unless maybe that goes back to the rumors or whatever speculation of Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer didn't talk for X amount of days or months or whatever. So who knows? Maybe Rick Spielman made that pick and Zimmer didn't agree with it, and then he didn't play Mond in spite of that. Who knows?
yeah, there's a lot of hearsay, but the latest rumor is Zimmer never wanted Kirk to come to Minnesota.
Yeah,
So
I saw that too.
yeah, day one it wasn't a good relationship. It was self-sabotage by Zimmer. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of things coming out about Zimmer that I just can't digest. I really can't. I thought he was a nicer guy than that, but maybe he's just that hard, you know what, and he's a bonehead.
So I don't know. Maybe there's been tension with Zimmer and Spielman for longer than what we think. Maybe it all started with the whole Kirk Cousins signing.
Well, that's possible. I mean, there probably was some blame in 2015 when they got to the TCF Bank against Seattle, and then Blair Walsh kicked wide left in that Tundra game. And then 2 years later, they got a team with Case Keenum, and they go 13-3, and Zimmer's defense didn't show up in Philly. So I don't know if Spielman was upset at Zimmer for his defensive game plan, or But then 2 years later with Kirk, they go down to New Orleans and knock him off. That's what prevented the change in quarterback then, was that 19 wild card game in New Orleans. We won in overtime on a throw to the corner to Rudolph. And speaking of Rudolph, DJ, he was spotted at the Timberwolves game 2 nights ago.
I saw that. I saw a picture of that. I think he was wearing a KG jersey.
Yeah, a number 21 KG jersey. So is that a hint, hint? I know he has a lot of foundations in Minnesota, but he got
Yeah,
released by the Giants.
yeah. I've heard hints, a few hints on, you know, getting Rudolph back in Minnesota, which I wouldn't be against. I really liked Rudolph. I really don't understand why we got rid of him in the first place. We should have kept him, but maybe that was another Mike Zimmer thing.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's just more keeps coming out, DJ, and I think the more we just sit back and take it all in, the more disgusted we're going to be.
hmm
But you also had this. I kind of want you to throw out the Cleveland scenario that you have listed here.
Oh yeah, that was the last thing I have on Kirk. I actually saw this. Store North actually posted this last week, I think, sometime. Apparently, according to Store North, Kirk Cousins has the second best odds to be the quarterback for the Browns next season, just under Baker Mayfield. So this would have to consist of the Vikings getting Baker Mayfield, and being the Vikings quarterback next season. So, and another thing is Kwesi, at the combine, Kwesi did say that all options for all players are on the table. So that right there tells me that the door has not completely been shut on Kirk for sure staying here this year. It's not closed, but it's not wide open. I'm saying, it's open a little bit still. There's still, I guess, hope for those people that don't want Kirk out there. So, I guess, what are your thoughts, and have you heard anything on this?
Well, first off, the comment on the Cleveland Browns scenario is, I think it would be perfect for both teams. I think Baker Mayfield is a Heisman Trophy quarterback and would thrive indoors with a receiving style offense. You know, Stefanski come from Minnesota and is running the Pat Shermer offense. And that's a lot of rollout, play action, dink and dunk, and run the ball, like Zimmer wanted them all to do.
Yep.
Boring. This, this KOC, what I'm seeing so far, what he wants to do, DJ, it's going to be a lot of run and gun. But unfortunately, what I'm hearing from Darren Doogie Wolfson out of KSTP Sports, who does Doogie Scoops on Score North, he is saying you guys are not going to believe the amount of movement that they are hearing about. And players like Eric Kendricks, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook are all on the trade block right now,
Jesus.
including Kirk Cousins. So those are four of our best players.
Mm-hmm.
Did something happen after Rodgers will ink this deal to stay in Green Bay where they're not really tipping their hand? I've heard a lot of comments from KOC and from Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. They, like you just said, DJ, everything for every player is on the table. I mean, that's a generalized statement. It's not real definitive, and that's they do that on purpose. I think just to keep everybody on edge. But what I'm hearing out of KSTP and Darren Wolfson, there's going to be a lot of movement. People are going to be. It's the quote was "Hang on to your hat." I got mine.
All right. Well, yeah. Like I said in the earlier in this episode, this off season is going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, and it's just going to get starting Sunday night at midnight.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess we can wrap the show up here, and it's good to be back after a week off last week, and this will basically be our last regular episode of this season, JJ. So next week we'll be doing our season 1 wrap up. So we'll kind of reminisce about the season and look back at some moments and just kind of walk you through, our first season, kind of a little behind the scenes info and this and that. So be sure to tune into that, and we'll wrap up the first season and get ready for the second season, which will basically start right away after our season 1 wrap up. So yeah. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to our social media pages and our YouTube channel. The link is in our description here. And we'll see you next week for our season 1 wrap-up show. All right, this is DJ and JJ. See you next time.
Peace. See ya.